Hey class, welcome back to Chapter 5, Linear Relationships. Today we're looking at Exercise 5F, solving equations by performing the same operation on both sides. Remember that when we apply the same mathematical equation to both sides of the equation, we form an equivalent equation using the balance model. We can do this a number of times until we have our solution in the form of x equals whatever it may be. So we are basically using the backtracking method and the balance model, but we're aiming to get rid of our flowcharts as we backtrack. So we'll try it with an example. We're going to use the balance model to solve 7a plus 4 equals 18. Now, if we were to draw this out in a flowchart, the last thing we would do to a is add 4. So we reverse this by subtracting 4 from both sides. We're aiming to get a on its own. What that gives us when we subtract 4 from both sides is an equivalent equation of 7a equals 14. Okay? Now we want to get rid of the 7 in front of the a. The opposite of multiplying by 7 is to divide by 7. So again, I'll divide 7 from both sides of the equation using the balance model to give an equivalent equation of a equals 2. And there we have the solution to our first equation. So by subtracting, adding, multiplying, or dividing by particular numbers that are already within the equation, we can reverse to get the pronumeral on its own. Let's try another. This time we have 2b minus 6 all divided by 3 equals 12. So the last thing we did to the b there was divide by 3. So if we multiply both sides by 3, we will get an equivalent equation of 2b minus 6 equals 36. Again, the furthest thing from the b is 2b minus 6, so the last thing we did to the b was subtract 6. If we add 6 to both sides, we get an equivalent equation of 2b equals 42. And finally, if we divide both sides by 2, so instead of multiplying b by 2, we'll now divide it, we get an equivalent, and that gets rid of that 2 in front of the b, we'll get an equivalent equation of b equals 21. And that's it, that's our solution. We can substitute it back into check. 2 times 21 is 42, minus 6 is 36, divided by 3 is in fact 12. So we have the solution to our equation. Let's try one more. This time we have 2 bracket c minus 7 close brackets plus 3 equals 27. So the first thing we do to the c is subtract 7 and then we multiply that by 2 before adding 3. The last step there is to add 3, so that's the first thing we will reverse to get an equivalent equation. Remember, the opposite of BODMAS is SADMOB. This gives us an equivalent equation of 2c minus 7, so that 3 minus 3 is 0, cancels out, giving us 24. Okay, working from outside of the brackets in, we're now multiplying whatever's in the brackets by 2. The opposite of times 2 is to divide by 2. So we'll choose that as our next operation. That gives us an equivalent equation of c minus 7 equals 12. You can keep that in brackets, but it doesn't really matter because there's nothing outside of the brackets. Okay, and then finally we're doing c minus 7. So if we add 7, the opposite of subtract 7, we'll get our final equivalent equation of c equals 19. Okay, we'll substitute it back into check. 19 minus 7 is 12, multiplied by 2 is 24, plus 3. We do get 27. Hooray! So using the balance model, instead of just picking random numbers to add, subtract, multiply, divide to make equivalent equations, we select our operations strategically to reverse our operations on the pronumeral. So substitute back in to check your answer. And what we're effectively doing, if I just sketch this first one out, let's use purple. If we sketch this first one out as a flowchart, we would start with A. And the first thing we do to A is multiply by 7 to give us 7A. And then we would add 4 to give us 7a plus 4. That there is all equal to 8, and then we would use the opposite direction, go in the opposite direction. So the first thing we would do is subtract 4, which is what we did here. Okay, we subtracted 4, oops, sorry, that should be 18, to get 14. And then the opposite of multiply by 7 is to divide it by 7 to give us our answer of 2, and that's what we did here. We divided by 7 at this step to get our answer of 2. So it kind of puts together what we've done with our flowcharts and what we've done in our previous exercise on the balance model, wherein we don't use flowcharts and we just form equivalent equations by using the same operation on both sides with the same number next to it. Okay, so I'm subtracting 4 here and 4 here. I'm not subtracting 4 here and 14 here. Okay, whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. And what that basically does is just work along the bottom line or the in the reverse order of our flowcharts. Okay, as always, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, good luck with the work, and I'll speak to you all very soon.